So waits in Selenium are nothing but we are asking Selenium WebDriver to wait for certain period of time to get application loaded, to get web elements visible, to get web elements clickable, web elements selectable, or for any condition, right? So in Selenium, waits are nothing but the time limit which we put for Selenium WebDriver to wait for application to load or web elements to be visible. Okay, so there is a class called timeouts. Timeouts is a class which has some waits available there. So let me go to Eclipse and then let me check. So my first line is driver.set property, system.set property. Then I am initializing my WebDriver. Then I am maximizing my window. Right. So very first wait comes here is driver.manage.timeouts page load timeout. Okay. Page load timeout is nothing but it basically check for page to load, for a web page to load on the browser. Time units dot time unit dot second. Okay. So with this I am asking Selenium to wait only for 20 seconds to get my page loaded, and then after that I will just look for any website, let's say http www.google.com. Okay, so if this page is not loading within 20 seconds, then it will throw an exception. Usually it will not take 20-second time. Let me just check. Okay, so it is loading basically within this 20-second time, right? So I am not getting any exception here. Let's say if I am reducing this wait to 1 second and then I am trying, then let's see what happens. Will it load or will it give an exception? Yeah, so this time it did not load and it has given me the timeout exception. Right, so timeout nothing but timed out receiving message from renderer. Okay, so Selenium waited only for 1 second for application to load. Is it making sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Nitin.
So this is an interface, right? So this interface for managing the driver timeouts. This is not a class, this is an interface. And in this interface, we are having these 3 methods. So I can write like this also. Instead of this, I can write like, so this is a timeout interface. So time out time import timeouts, then time dot. If you can see some methods from timeout, that is implicitly wait, page load, and set script timeout. So we are using page load timeout here. And first we have to give time, and then second is time unit dot. Then here we can have the time unit in days, hours, microsecond, millisecond, minutes, nanosecond, seconds of value, class value, this, etc. So we are mostly using seconds because that is actually the standard. 1. So we will use the times in seconds, right? And then my WebDriver will wait only for 10 seconds to get this application loaded. And this time it will not give any error, any exception, because my web page will load within 10 seconds. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So first was your page load timeout. Now, this was applicable only for page to load or application to load. Now we have something called implicitly wait and WebDriver wait for each web element, right? So that is applicable for web elements, for all web elements to load on a web page, right? So first is your implicitly wait. It is not implicit, it is implicitly.
Okay.
Implicitly wait, and second is your explicit wait, and that is also called as WebDriver wait, right? So implicit wait is a kind of a global wait, right, which is applicable for all the web elements of the web page. It is a global wait and it is applicable for all the web elements, of the web page, right? So let's say there are 100 objects in my particular web page, 100 elements. There are 100 elements, and I am defining I implicitly wait, and that is like I am giving a time of 10 seconds. 10 seconds time I am giving for each web element to load. So this 10 seconds will be applicable for all 100 elements, right? So I don't have to define separate wait for each element. It's just I have defined once 10 seconds, and this is applicable for all 100 elements. So Tara, do you remember we have a issue with your script wherein you were
Yes, yes.
facing that value was not passing to those radio buttons and then other text boxes, right?
Yes.
And then we defined implicit wait. So once we
Yeah.
defined this implicit wait of some seconds, then your WebDriver was waiting for those elements to load or to be visible on that web page, and then only you could perform some operations.
Mhm.
So implicit wait is nothing but it is applicable for all the web elements of a web page. Once you define it for a specified time, you don't have to define for um, separate web elements. So that is why it is also called as a smart wait, right? So the syntax of this is again very simple. It's like you will have to write like driver dot manage dot timeout dot implicitly wait, and then here time unit, let's say 20 time, and then time unit here dot seconds. Yeah, so once you define it, it is applicable for all the web elements of the web page. If the element is not visible even after this 20 second, it's gonna throw you no such element exception. My page load timeout will give you timeout exception, and implicitly wait will give you no such element exception. Okay, so it is like always it will give you no such element exception only, and there is no exception called no element found, right? So if you tell that in interview no element found, that is incorrect answer. There is a no such element exception.
Okay.
Okay, and
Nitin, can you repeat that, please?
yeah, so your page load timeout, if your page is not loading within given time, it will give you timeout exception. Okay, and if an element is not loading within the given time, that is your implicit wait, maybe for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it will give you no such element exception.
Okay.
Okay, it will not give you any exception called no element found exception. There is no such exception in Selenium. Okay, so implicit weight, first of all, is a global weight. It is applicable for all the elements of the web page, and it is also called smart weight because once you define this implicit weight, you don't have to write separate weight for each method, each web element, right? And the next point is it always throws no such element exception if the element is not found within the given time of that specified locator. The next is it checks for only visibility of only it checks only for visibility of element or presence of element. Okay, or if the element is loaded or not, that's all. It will not check if the element is selectable, it will not check if the element is clickable, it will not check whether the element can be can accept the some inputs, anything. It will not check. It will check whether the element is visible or not. Okay, so there are 3-4 points. Let's go back to Eclipse and let me let's take the example of this only. Okay, what is the we have google.com. Let's say I am giving implicit weight of 1 second here, and I am trying to look for anything. Let's say driver dot find element by dot id. Let's say I am looking for some id dot click. So in google.com there is no such element which is having this id, right? Even if it waits for 10 seconds, it will throw the no such element exception because it will not find any web element having this id.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I run this, my WebDriver will wait for 10 seconds to locate that element, and after that it will throw an exception. The recordings are going on. Yeah, so it is throwing no such element exception. So it will give you the description also, no such element, unable to locate element using this hashtag Nitin. Okay, so it is always throws no such element exception. Instead of this, if I give you 1 second time also, then immediately after loading the page, it will throw me this exception. Yeah, so I mean now this time it is coming immediately because it waited only for 1 second. Okay, so that is applicable for elements. If I take the example of any okay, leave it for now. Got it right, Disha, Sitara?
Yes. Yes, Nitin.
Now next is your WebDriver wait, right? So we have discussed about page load timeout and then implicitly wait. Next is your WebDriver wait. WebDriver wait is actually different from implicitly wait, wherein this is not a global wait. This is applicable for individual elements, right? So wherever you want something, some element to wait for some time, right? Uh, for some specific condition, that time you should use WebDriver wait, right? And you will have to create object of this WebDriver wait, and then only you can use this. Okay, so this basically works for specific conditions. right? So WebDriver wait equal to new WebDriver wait, and then using this wait, we will have to use expected conditions. Let me go back to Eclipse and then let me show you how we can use the WebDriver wait. So let's see if that works. Selenium practice.blogspot. Dot. Blogspot.in. So here what I will do, guys, when I click on this timer, it will display one text here, right? So as of now, the text is click on try it. I will display automation tools after some interval. So when I click on this, it is displaying Selenium first, and then it is displaying QTP. Then it is displaying, after some time, it is displaying WebDriver. WebDriver, yeah. So I want my application to wait for WebDriver to display here. So that is not possible using implicit wait. Implicit wait will wait for, let's say, for some specific time, right? But I want that my application to wait for certain time so that this text is displayed in this field, right? So here I can use the explicit wait or the WebDriver wait.
Yeah, correct.
Correct. So let me go to this web page first. WebDriver, and then let me, what I will have to do first, I will have to click on that button, right? So for that I will have to inspect this. Can you tell me what would be the XPath for this, guys?
Yeah, we can use text.
So button, you have to be quick, guys. What would be the XPath?
Sorry. Button, then inside the bracket text equals to click me to start.
Click me to start timer, right?
Yeah.
So I am able to locate this element uniquely, and once I load this web page, I will have to write driver dot find element by dot XPath and then dot click. Okay, once I click on that, I am looking to looking for WebDriver, right? So I will have to locate this also. So this is the
demo ID is there, right?
ID is demo and the text is
WebDriver. We can use text as well. Just P tag as P text equals to WebDriver.
tag as P and text equal to WebDriver. Okay, so let's say I am looking for this element and trying to check whether the element is displayed or not. So for that, let me write web element text equal to driver dot find element by dot XPath, and then I am checking if text dot, or rather I will first do text dot displayed is displayed. That I will check in one condition, because this will return me Boolean result. So I will just put in not colon, that's equal, and then if status dot, or status is directly true, right? So then element displayed, else element not displayed, right? So what is happening here? I'm not giving any weight as of now. There is a page load timeout which is there for 10 seconds, right? And my web page will load. Then I am clicking on this click me to start button. Then I am checking for this Webdriver text. If the Webdriver text is visible, it will display the element displayed result, otherwise element not displayed result, right? And this time my script will fail, because I am immediately after clicking on this link, I am checking for this Webdriver text, and that Webdriver text is coming after couple of seconds, right? So if I run this application will fail, this script will fail. I clicked on this, and now I will get no such element exception. Okay, because there was no such my Selenium did not wait for any time. Now if I give the implicit wait here, let's say I am giving the implicit wait of 10 seconds, right? So my script will my Selenium will wait for 10 seconds for that specific element to load, right? And let's see whether this works or not. This time it is actually waiting for 10 seconds for this locator to, even in 10 seconds it did not come. Okay, let me increase the time here. Let's see if in 20 seconds also it is coming or not. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, this time within 20 seconds I got that element, right? And then it displayed element displayed.
Yeah.
Right. So that I could use the implicit weight here, but I want to use the explicit weight here rather than implicit weight. So I will now use the explicit weight, and where I have to use that just before this. So I will write like Webdriver weight control space equal to new Webdriver weight, and within this I will have to pass time driver dot time input Webdriver weight from org.openqa selenium.support.ui, and type mismatch cannot convert from Webdriver. Okay, Webdriver weight here.
W capital.
Yeah, 1 second. Webdriver wait. Yeah. And then using this wait, we have until method here. And in until method, I can have the expected conditions. Conditions dot, and then we have several conditions here. So conditions as in my WebDriver will wait for a specific condition to be met, right? So specific conditions can be alerts present, attribute contains, attribute to be element selection, element to be clickable, element to be selected, frames to be available, invisibility of elements. So likewise, there are 60-70 conditions we have, right? And based on the based on what we are basically looking for, we can use a certain condition here. So let's say here I am checking for visibility of element. So I will use the visibility of element located. Visibility of element located by dot locator. And here I'll give the locator of that element. So this is the locator. So element locator is nothing but it's like by dot XPath. We don't have to give the entire, just the element locator we have to give. So by dot XPath and then comma. So why it is giving the problem? Okay, web element. Element equal to, yeah, I think one bracket is extra here. Second. So wait. Expected conditions not visible by dot XPath. Okay. And then element dot, rather than I'll just dot is displayed. Okay, so here what I have done, I have used one WebDriver wait, right? And that WebDriver wait will wait for a specific condition to met. And here what is the expected condition I am using? Visibility of the element located. And along with that, I am passing the locator here, right? So this is done using until method, right? And this will wait for 30 seconds. When as soon as this element is located, it will release the wait. So this wait is not for all the elements. It's just for this that text to be displayed. So this wait is specific to that element only. Okay, so let me run this program and then see what I am getting here. Yeah, so it waited for around, as soon as it got this WebDriver, right? I got this element displayed. If I change the wait from this 30 seconds to 5 seconds, then let's see what happens. It will give you element not visible exception, because I think it is taking around 8 to 10 seconds of time to display this element. 1 second. Okay, timeout exception, because expected condition failed, waiting for
Expected, yeah.
waiting for visibility of element located. So try it for 5 seconds within 500 milliseconds interval, and caused by no such element exception, unable to locate element. Okay, so that's how it works. Basically, we can define the WebDriver weight or explicit weight for each and every element based on the specific conditions we want. So for that we use until method, and within until method we use expected condition and then visibility of element located. Making sense? So the syntax is little tricky, guys. You will have to practice this, and then only you will be able to through with this.
Yeah, so Nitin, this is for, I mean, explicitly we are giving these conditions, right, for each
Yeah.
web element, correct?
Yeah.
And if I want to, while creating project, if I want to give it for all the web elements, then is there any way?
Yeah, we can put that in a separate library, and wherever there is a need, we can call that. When we usually do that only.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So
Yeah,
function you mean, or
function, reusable library.
Okay.
Okay, we will see that when we will be creating our project, right? So how can we create such reusable libraries?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I have created one basic project in my company. Okay.